Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled. Boy, Bobby, at some point I'm going to get this down. After what, 5 years? I'm going to go again. So, welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify their lives when they're thinking about sending their kids off to college. And we talk about a lot of different topics here. We talk about getting kids into college, getting prepped for college, how to think about careers, and just life that circles this time frame. I'm Kristin Clark. I am a career exploration coach for 16 to 26-year-olds, and I'm here with Bobby Hood, our ACT SAT expert. Bobby, how's life treating you?
Just great. Yeah, I've got a wedding to go to this week. My niece is getting married, and so got lots of family coming in. That's gonna be very exciting.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're just getting into that. We're just getting into that time frame too, where I've got nieces and nephews, and hopefully my own boys. Knock on wood, soon. But we got to have girlfriends for that. So
that's right.
Yeah. So Bobby, today we're talking about a subject that we haven't broached before after 5 years, and that is talking about this idea of the average kid's advantage. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so we're talking about, the kids that aren't the valedictorians. They don't have the 4.8397649 grade point average, but they're not flunking out either. They're doing fine.
Right.
They're just
Absolutely.
kind of hovering in the middle. I got to tell you, I remember my youngest son. He had a 3.5 grade point average, right? And he was in the 50th percentile in his class.
Wow.
And when we saw that 50th percentile, where I was like, oh, poor Matt, he's just not as smart. Okay, Bobby, a 3.5, right?
Yeah.
So there's this weird mentality, I think, that goes around when you're looking at all these things, when they're in high school. Matt wasn't in sports. He had a job, but he wasn't a big joiner. So he was an average kid.
Yeah.
Right? And I got to tell you, I think he was a happy kid because
Absolutely.
there wasn't so much pressure on him to, I've got to be in this and I've got to do really great at that. He was just happy, doing what he did, and, just a good average kid.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is something, I'm seeing a lot of discussion about this on social media. They call it the gifted child syndrome, where students who were in gifted classes when they were younger, feel this pressure to achieve. And then anytime they aren't perfect or whatever, it makes them into perfectionists, and it makes them very disappointed in themselves anytime they don't achieve everything that they expected. And then it really can be debilitating to them as an adult. And I can definitely relate to that. And so this is absolutely, the flip side of that is recognizing that not having those kind of pressures on you can really actually lead to great success later in life, right?
Well,
You're not peaking in high school. You're not, you just know that you can achieve things through hard work, but that it takes hard work. And so you're prepared to do it.
Absolutely. And for any of those parents out there that are thinking about, oh my gosh, but how do they get into college if they're average? It's a numbers game, people. They will get into college, up to a point, obviously. But that average kid, there are so many colleges
that's the big key here, right? Is because everyone gets all focused on just the Ivy Leagues or just just the University of Texas or whatever, right? It is hard to get into the elite colleges, right? Sure. But once you go one tier down from that, there are 20,000 colleges, that you can apply to, and absolutely and this is something I say to students a lot, especially when they're looking at law school and things like that, which is you'd rather be in a college where you're going to be able to succeed compared to your peers. You don't want to be at a place where everyone was the smartest kid in the room their whole life, right? That's going to be really hard and really competitive and really difficult. You want to be somewhere where you're with peers, where you can succeed and be happy and have fun and be emotionally well-adjusted. And I wish I had known that when I was 16.
Well, and that's where these college visits, in my mind, play such a huge part of this. When you step foot on campus and you see the people that are around walking on campus, you're either like, I found my people, or yeah, this doesn't feel right, So those college visits are huge for that piece of it.
Absolutely. And so, I think the point here is that you should not feel disappointed in your child if they have an average, if they're in the 50th percentile of their class. You should be proud of them for doing what they've done. And you should know that that is going to lead them to, that absolutely can lead them to success later. It actually can be a huge advantage. And that's what
it is. They're kind of a blank canvas, where they're kind of walking into college and thinking, hey, I've got an opportunity here, I will tell you though, there's still, I think, a big, my words aren't coming to me, but a good fight for helping them really understand what they want to do in college, meaning why are they going, so that they don't also feel a little lost in that, because, I think you're right, Bobby. I think those sometimes are the kids that had to either try a little bit harder, or there's some also that are like more like, I'm going to kind of go with the flow.
Right.
But they also, having that direction and that I know why I'm going, and I know kind of sort of the area that I'm gunning for as far as what I want to do as far as a career, that's going to be a game changer for these kids as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so if you've got a student who's 14 and already knows that they want to be a doctor and all this stuff, and they're already doing all the things, then sure. Right. But if you're just average and you're rocking along and you haven't figured out a career yet or whatever, it is important to now is the time to say, okay, now what is the thing that is going to light you up? What is the thing that's going to make you excited and find a career that you're going to actually love? And it's very good to not know that yet, but that means it's time to start exploring it and be prepared for that. And that's why they can come and work with you, learn about their strengths, right? Get some coaching on how to figure out their careers. Right.
Yeah. And, one of the key things you said on that, Bobby, is, asking them things like what lights you up. And I think that's key, because a lot of times as parents, we're like, what are you passionate about? And I'm like, stop using that word. It's too much. Like I can't think of one thing, Bobby, that I'm so passionate about besides my kids and this work, but, asking a little bit lighter hearted question to get your kids thinking about that. And I've also I haven't even announced this to you. I'm getting serious about starting a parent group.
Oh, nice.
We get together and you can ask me pointed questions about, okay, my kid's in this stage. What do I do? How do I talk to him? He's not talking to me. How do I get them, starting to think about careers and all of that stuff? But I think it's really key, to just make this a little bit less elite, where you're not passionate about something. It's not what are you good at? It's what do you want to do when nobody's making you do anything?
Right. Absolutely.
Those are the questions where they go, oh, well, I love to bake, or I love to do this. I love to golf. I love this. So then you can get that conversation started versus, having this pressure packed, we're going to talk about careers now. And
right. And
passionate about.
Absolutely. And that could be part of the thing is, talking about what your strengths are might feel like a little pressure. It's like, what are the things that get you excited, that make you like, yeah, it is absolutely like, what do you think about when nobody's around, right? What are the things that
you actually want to do?
Yeah. You've got a couple of days free to yourself. What hobbies are you going to follow? Those are the things to think about.
Absolutely. And then helping them make the bridge the gap on what does that look like?
Right. How does that translate to a career? Because a lot of times just, we've told these stories so many times before, but yeah, like just liking golf doesn't sound like something that can lead you in a career, but you've absolutely had students where it did, and
yeah.
That.
Well, and I'll tell you real quick, I was listening to this gentleman that I love listening to. He's called the Badass Counselor, and he works with young people and families, but he brought up, he said, you can monetize anything. He goes, you can monetize the sun. Think about sunscreen, solar panels, all these different things that, if you really think about it, all these things are attached to the sun and what people do because of the sun. So going back to golf or, any other baking, you don't have to be a chef. I had a client that wanted to make sure that the foods on your shelves were healthy. How do you, what ingredients, what chemicals do you put in those, or what don't you put in those? There's so much out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. And so if your student is average, right, that's not a negative. That's an opportunity.
Yeah. Be excited about it. Right.
Exactly.
All right, Bobby, it's always good to talk, and we will see you next week.
All right. Have a great week.
All right. Bye.